to show you how I use the Festool LR32 system for my base cabinets. But before I do, let me give you a little bit more information about the True 32 cabinet building method. Now, you've done your research like I have online about the True 32 base cabinet building method. So you know that the True 32 base cabinet height, that's from the ground to the top. It does not include the countertop. So the True 32 base cabinet height you want to achieve is 878 millimeters. So a side panel should be 610 millimeters wide, which is 24 inches, by 800 millimeters tall. So you'll have a 78 millimeter toe kick, and that's about 3 inches for your toe kick. But with the adjustable legs that I like to use, my toe kick attaches to these adjustable legs. And this is obviously taller than 78 millimeters. So I cannot use the standard 610 by 800 millimeter side panel for my base cabinets. I want to be able to hide this whole assembly behind my toe kick. So I have to find the next available increment of 32. So for this style of adjustable leg, my panel is going to be 610 millimeters wide, which is your standard, by 768 millimeters in height. So I'll make my toe kick 110 millimeters. So with the 768 plus the 110 for the toe kick, I can achieve my True 32 height of 878 millimeters. So with the magic number for a base cabinet being 878 millimeters, let's think about that for a second. You want to make sure that your box, no matter what style of adjustable legs you use or how you attach your toe kick, you just want to make sure that your box from the ground to the top is going to equal 878 millimeters. Because if you have your standard countertop, which is 38 millimeters or 1.5 inches, you get 916 millimeters. And I'm sure all you guys know that 916 millimeters equals 36 inches. Now that is your standard height from the ground to the top of the countertop for your kitchen cabinet. Well, first let me show you a template that I made up to help me figure out where I want to place my holes. So a true 32 base cabinet, that will have 22 holes. So with this layout, I'm able to determine exactly the size of my door and drawer fronts. And remember that with a true 32 cabinet, your door and drawer fronts, they need to be in increments of 32. So when I lay this out, I'm able to determine exactly where a true 32 measurement is, and then I'm able to locate my rails. So this is the side of my cabinet that I'm building. And when I lay the rail on here, I'm able to determine exactly which hole I want to utilize. So if this is the drawer glide that I'm using, and this is the space where I'm going to install my center or middle rail, I can see that I want to use the 5th hole on the guide rail. Now if you take a look at this top rail, it's going to cover up this very first hole. So I actually consider the 2nd hole my first hole. So I'll count down 5 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I use a red marker to locate my drawer glides and my hinge plates. So that's going to be my top hole location for my drawer glide. Now taking a look at my hinge and my hinge plate, just like with the upper cabinets, from the top of my rail, I want to come down my first hole location to be 80 millimeters. So I'll use the number 9 and 10 hole for the top hinge plate. And if I come down here, again, you can see that my bottom of my cabinet, that will cover up that first hole. So I'm not going to count that first hole. So I want to use this 20th and the 21st hole for my bottom hinge plate. And just like for my upper cabinets, I like to use a blue dry eraser marker to tell me which holes are going to be my adjustable shelving holes. So for me, that's number 13 through number 17. Now with my template, I was able to locate the exact hole locations that I want to drill out, and I was able to determine exactly where a true 32 measurement is. So now I know that my drawer front, it has to be 224 millimeters minus my reveal, and my door has to be 544 millimeters. Those are increments of 32. Now, just like the upper cabinets, the guide rail is set up with the end stops at 16 up and out. And that front hole location is centered at 37 millimeters off the front end. So I have my stop rod set at 37 millimeters. My rail is clamped to my piece. I already have my depth of plunge set on the rod. Now comes the part of finding the center. Now, for my cabinet, from the inside dimension, that is 587 millimeters. So what I did was I divided that in half, and I came up with 293.5 millimeters, but you round up. Now what I did is I made up this little block, and from the front to the back, it's 294 millimeters. So I'll come here to the top of my board, and then to the bottom of my board. Mark 294 millimeters. That's from the front edge in. And you're going to take your rail, place it on your workpiece, and when you look at the 5 millimeter router bit, it's got a nice sharp brad point right in the middle of it. So I'm going to plunge my router down and slide the rail over. I'm going to mark and line up my mark and the center of my router bit with my mark. Once I get that lined up, I'm going to clamp this in place. Now I can attach the stop rod to the rail and slide the pin over to the back of my panel. And I'll do that to both of the stop rods. Since this was the first one that I set, I can now bring this one down here and attach it to the rail, making sure the pin is touching the back of my board. Or my clamp it in place down here at the bottom, and double check to make sure that that router bit comes down onto the center of your mark, which it does. I did that the first time I wanted to find my center row of holes. And now that I could read the stop rod, and I know from here on out, all I have to do is set my stop rod up at 8 millimeters and reference it off the back. Now I want to drill out my center row of holes, and all I have to worry about are the holes for my adjustable shelving and the one hole for my drawer slide. And, as you can see, I need to find the new set of holes that I want to drill out for the back set of holes for my adjustable shelving. So to do that, I simply bring my rail over to the holes I already drilled, and I will mark those with the blue marker. Bring it over here. And just like with the upper cabinet, I want my back roll of holes to be centered at 37 millimeters in from the back of my panel. So I'm going to set my stop rods up to 61. Now I only have to worry about the back roll of adjustable shelving holes. locations with the Festool LR32 system. It's fantastic. Now, I have two other styles of drawer glides that I've used from previous projects. So I wanted to show this to you real quick. Now remember, everything is based off the True 32 system. So that meant that since my front roll of holes is centered at 37 millimeters from the front edge, and by me placing my center roll of holes at 294 millimeters off the front edge, well, what does that do? Well, if you take a look at it, that gives me an increment of 32 from center to center of the holes, which means not only can I use the drawer glide that I plan on using with the top hole locations, I could also use those holes for a 22-inch drawer glide and for a 14-inch drawer glide. Because the True 32 hardware, it has holes in increments of 32. So from here on out, I know that I can place this center hole location off the front edge, 294 millimeters, and it's perfectly centered with my panel, so I could use these set of holes for a half shelf, or if I want to, put a full shelf in the bottom of this cabinet. It's funny how things work out like that, huh? It looks good. Can't wait to put this cabinet together, and I can't wait to show you a couple more tips that I have. In the following video, I'm going to show you how I use the LR32 system to attach my adjustable legs, and I'm going to show you a top secret way that I don't think anybody wants you to know how to achieve the perfect reveal between your door and your drawer fronts. I might get in trouble by sharing this information, but I think you need to know about it. So stay tuned and subscribe. Thanks for watching.